started. So, some of the very important features of 2024 prelims is like UPSC has gone back to the pre-2023 prelims. That means the pattern of question has been normalized. Like in 2023 prelims, like it was like a blast for the students. People found it bit difficult, not only bit, it's that people found it very difficult to tackle the questions. Not because the questions were very difficult, but the pattern of options were a bit difficult to handle. But this year 2024 prelims, there has been normalization of pattern, and it is being more benign, more kind and more gentle. In fact, the technique of elimination, so people were complaining in 2023 prelims that they could not apply the technique of eliminations which they had been applying in the earlier prelims. So 2024 prelims, as it has been normalized, there the technique of elimination, could be easily applied. And when you see the nature of the question were also quite conceptual based, more easy to handle. Somebody whose concepts are really clear, they would have found this paper comparatively very easy. From 2023 this paper has been very easy. Now some new features has been included in 2024 paper. Number one, that table format. Earlier they had been asking the question in pairing based. Just see. So look at so this is what the table format question has come. Earlier they used to ask about pairing kind of questions like they would ask like pairing like A, B, and you have to match it, or how many pairs were being correctly matched. So this time they had made a threefold classification, but definitely when you look at the difficulty level of the question, even if it was table format, just the format has been changed, the nature of the questions were not very difficult to handle. Again, the new features which they have added, another new features which they have added is in the assertion and reasoning based question, this time there was one question which has been asked which is based on three statements. So look at the question. So look at this question, there is statement . So here you can see there is statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3, whereas in general assertion and reasoning there are two statement. So this could be a precursor that upcoming prelims they may ask more number of such questions like excuse me, like the pattern of questions in 2023 they had asked, few such patterns were given in 2022 prelims, few such questions, but 2023 prelims they had included more number of such questions where technique of the elimination was very difficult to apply. So such kind of question we can say that three statement based question, this time they had asked one, in the upcoming prelims the number could rise. Another features we could see is that more number of questions from assertion and reasoning. So that shows before 2023 prelims or before 2023 prelims, fewer questions were asked from assertion and reasoning, but we have seen 2023 prelims around 18 questions were being asked from assertion and reasoning, and in 2024 around 14 questions has been asked from assertion and reasoning. Now what is the implication of such inclusion of more number of such questions in the prelims? The implication is that it increases the length of the paper, because the question based on assertion and reasoning requires more time to solve, particularly when the students have to consider the options between A and B. So they take more time whether the option is A or option is B. C and D is comparatively easy to choose, but choosing the options A and B, it takes bit time, and also studying both the statement and then integrating with and finding the correct option, it takes time. So in this way the length of the paper increases, the time for solving the paper also increases, hence time management become very crucial. Like earlier, people used to never complain regarding time management in general studies. They definitely had a difficult time in managing the CSAT paper. But GS paper, they were it was easy to manage the time. But if more number of such questions are being included, which we have seen in 2023 and also in the trend continued in 2024, the time management becomes very crucial. So we should practice more and more on the assertion and reasoning, so that it becomes easier for us to solve in the prelims. Yes, another feature is that they had asked more number of question has also been coming from government scheme. In fact, this the government scheme, it's not new that they had asked first time, they had been asking, but they had asked around 4 to 5 questions from the government scheme, around 4 to 5 questions from the government scheme. So that shows, and that's very natural also, because all of you are aspiring to become civil servant, and as a civil servant, the foremost important part of your job is to implement the policies of the government, right? And also at the senior level, the bureaucrats are also involved in the policy formulations. So it is very natural that the systems wants you to have a good idea about the government schemes and policies. Security aspect has also been given good importance. So that shows that the government is giving or the system is giving more importance to the security aspect. Around 5 to 6 questions has been coming from security aspects, be it international relations, like the questions on Sahel region of Africa, where military coup has taken over, or India-Sri Lanka security pact, that is exercise Mitra Shakti pact. So such kind of questions, or you can say permanent defense staff, chief of defense staff, or operations conducted by army. So such question that shows that more and more importance is being given to the security aspect. Further, so now if we look into the classification of the question, how the questions has been classified. So let's do a comparative, let's do a bit comparative analysis. So good number of questions coming from polity, and it is always a bonus. More questions from polity means they are more attemptable questions. Every year people find attempting polity questions comparatively easier than other aspect. So around 18 questions, and definitely easier also. If you see it's not only the number of questions of polity has been more, but also more number of easy questions from polity coming, direct questions like coming from parts of the constitutions, and the procedure related to money bills, which are quite concept based, and somebody whose concepts are really clear, they would have find it very easy to handle polity questions. 18 questions bonus, it's like a bonus for the candidates. Economy, so this year little bit we would see that economy questions has been bit reduced. So when comparison to other year, 11 questions. Very drastic change has been done in history. You will see like very drastic change has been done in history, where generally 15 was considered as a median. It's been considered as a median or average number of question around 14 to 15, but this year it's half of the average they had asked is 7 questions, and that too mainly concentrating on art and culture, where the people they find more easy to handle modern history. But modern history, just 2 questions were being asked, though both the questions were quite easy to handle. Medieval they had asked just 1 question, and around 4 to 5 question has been coming from art and culture, and that too the favorite, as usual, the more number of questions in art and culture they have been asking from Buddhism and Jainism. So even this year they had asked around 3 to 4 questions coming from Buddhism and Jainism. So moving next to geography, again very good number of question, around 18 question has been coming from geography, and a good number of questions concept based, NCERT based. Somebody who would have done NCERT really well, they would have again found to deal with those questions much easier. Environment on an average, just like other year, 14 questions, so equal importance has been given to environment, no drastic change. In science and technology also, as usual, 11 to 12 questions are being asked this year, so they had asked around 12 questions. International relations also, of late they have been giving good importance to international relations, so around 10 questions from IR, and miscellaneous plus government scheme around 10 questions. So now let's see subject wise the nature of the questions. So when you look into the geography, as I have just mentioned that the questions from geography, they were concept based and mostly directly coming from NCERT or the application based on NCERT, easy to handle. Questions like they had asked about the rivers, waterfalls, rivers and its tributaries. Like they had asked questions on Ganga and its tributaries, Gomati, Ghagra, Gandak and Kosi, and how are they being arranged from west towards east side, which was I guess quite easy, and it's quite not offbeat question I would say. Waterfalls they had asked questions, Coriolis forces, they had asked questions on climate type, Coriolis forces, summer solstice, 21st June, etc. and etc. So it was easy I would say. Coming back to polity, the nature of polity question. The nature of polity questions was again So the nature of polity question were again concept based, and somebody whose concepts are really good, they have studied really well, you know, the NCRT and the reference book, very easy to handle in comparison to 2023 direct questions coming from the parts of constitution, procedure related to money bill, article 109. They had asked regarding removal of the speaker, procedure related to the removal of the speaker. So these questions were very easy to handle. And then some current based questions like they had asked about ethics committee of Lok Sabha, because this was in news related to Mahua Moitra case, cash for query questions. So they had asked regarding ethics committee, which some may have, you know, found it a bit, it was considered to be the moderate difficulty. If you would have read it, you would have easily handled it. Otherwise, you may have found it bit, you know, moderate difficult label. I will put these questions. Then they had asked questions related to scheduled tribes, like who notify the scheduled tribes, whether it is president or governor. So again, you know, Manipur has been in news because of this tribal status issues and all between the ethnic community. So you can trace that this question were somewhere inspired from the current events. Coming back to the next subject, economy. So if you see the question from economy, again I would say concept. If your concepts are clear, the questions were quite easy to attempt. More number of question as usual from money and banking, RBI, lending and all. Then stock market, few questions from stock market also they had asked. They had asked questions from like primary, secondary and tertiary sector. They had asked questions from land, labor, capital. So basics questions. That's what, like 2024 prelims, if you analyze, you will see more and more basics questions. Concept based question has been asked. Moving on to history. Like history, yes, there was some drastic change in terms of very less number of questions were allotted to history section, and more number of question in that too were asked from art and culture, that is ancient history. Medieval history, they had asked just one question, and then the modern history they had asked two questions. Art and culture also as usual, you know, the favorite topic, that is Buddhism and Jainism. So around 4 questions coming from Buddhism and Jainism, 1 questions coming from Upanishads, that is later Vedic period, and 1 questions coming to medieval history. You know, of late Vijayanagar kingdom has been becoming more focused. Almost every year or every alternate year they ask questions from Vijayanagar kingdom. So even this year they had asked related to, you know, who gave permission to Portuguese to build fort in Bhatkal. So again it's belong to the Vijayanagar kingdom, Krishna Deva Raya. Modern history, 2 questions, and both were very easy to handle. 1 questions related to the permanent settlement during Cornwallis, and another question 1935 Act. So both the question I believe that it was very easy to handle. Art and culture, people may have found, you know, almost every year people find it difficult to handle the art and culture questions. So that's okay, fine, like as usual it was little bit difficult. But modern history was very easy, and medieval history, so at least these 3 questions were quite easy. Even Upanishad based question was easy if you know the meaning of parables. Like they had asked, you know, whether in Upanishad parables were there or not. So parable is basically the moral story. So and the second statement, that was very easy, whether it was written before Puranas or after Puranas. So that chronology was quite easy. But the first, that is parables, if somebody knows the meaning of that, or somebody could make out that that could be the meaning, then definitely even few questions could have been solved from art and culture also. Coming to environment section. So as usual we have seen that good importance has been given to environment. Around 14 questions has been asked, and as usual the area from where the questions were being asked was basically from flora and fauna. They had asked questions from endangered species, pollutions, etc., etc. So as usual, the nature of the question was as usual, like the way they ask every year. Now science and technology. Science and technology also, like if we see the number of questions, it was like similar kind as it has been given in the previous years, around 12 questions coming, and the nature of the question was also very, very similar, application based question. So be it the question that is hydrogel, its applications, or fuel cycle, end product of fuel cycle in electric vehicle, or membrane bioreactors to deal with the wastewater treatment. So application based, as usual it has been asked in other years, not drastic change in the nature of the question. International relation, again the questions were from security aspect, as I have also earlier mentioned it, that good questions from the security aspect, like Sahel region of Africa, or India Sri Lanka security exercise, that is Operation Mitra Shakti, or then trade, security and the trade US and India trade, import and export of apples and all, they had asked. So again lot of importance nowadays they are giving to the bilateral agreement and bilateral treaty, or international news, important international news. So that is where the questions from international relations. So now if we look in the medium of difficulty level of the question, so as we have already discussed that 2024 paper was much more benign, it was much more easy than 2023 paper. Here, because the pattern of the question, as well as option, the option given, as I always say that 2023 paper was not difficult because the questions were difficult, it was difficult because the pattern of options were different, which the students were not very used to handling such kind of options. But it has been 2024, it has been normalized, and here the technique of lot of question you could have solved by using the technique of elimination, and more number of easy question, I would say, more number of easy questions. If I have to categorize in terms of the difficulty level of the questions, then certainly we see that majority of the questions were easy to handle. So easy, moderate difficulty and difficulty. So in this around 50 to 55 questions were of easy category. If not all the 55 questions, at least 40 questions were such where the student would have, those who were well prepared, at least 40 questions they would have done in their first reading itself. Around 30 to 35 questions were of moderate difficulties, where with by using the technique of elimination and using some common ideas or the logic and rationality, a good number of the question could have been also solved from this sections, and some 10 questions which were bit difficult to handle, and those questions could have been easily left out. So considering this, around 85 to 90 questions were attemptable. 85 to 90 questions were attemptable. 50 to 55, as I put, is easy category, and here you could take a chance in the moderate difficulty on the basis of some by using the technique of eliminations, or by using the technique of some the logic and reasoning kind of rationality in the statement. You could definitely solve more number of questions from the moderate difficulty level also. Now the cutoff. Now what would be the cutoff? So definitely the students after the exam, they have the deeper interest in knowing that what would be the cutoff. So considering that last year 2023 paper was quite difficult, and the cutoff was around 75. So if we have to compare from last year, of course depending on, there are other factors also, the cutoff depends on the various factors like the vacancies, what are the vacancies. So this time a little bit of less vacancy in comparison to last year, the vacancy is bit lesser, and of course depend upon how the people would have performed in their examinations and all. But considering all this, we can say somewhere 90 plus, the cutoff would go 90 plus, considering that the paper was much easier than last year. Not only easy, but I would say much easier. So take away from the prelims 2024, what is the takeaway from prelims 2024? So the takeaway is very, very simple, that set your concept right. Set your concept right. So you have to work, all of you have to work on conceptual clarity, building the concepts, and somebody whose concepts are clear, not only this year prelims, clearing prelims become very, very easy. That's not very tough. One can clear prelims definitely with the correct strategy and with proper effort, with good conceptual clarity. They can beat any kind of pattern, Ultimately the UPSC, whatever is the nature of the question or difficult level of the questions, we have to prepare ourselves well. We have to set our concept right. So whatever be the pattern, they have to take the requisite number of people for the prelims. So last time around 14,000 they have qualified prelims, right? So those 14,000 were whose concepts were better than those who could not make it, and also they could also handle better in the exam hall. So there is one difference, your preparation should match performance. Preparation should match performance. That's very important. Like we may be well prepared, But if we don't perform on that particular day, everything goes waste, right? So believe in yourself, prepare well, set your concept right. So with this, I would end this session, and I hope this video was, this session is useful for you in making a good analysis of your performance and also strategizing for your further preparation. Thank you.